Today's video is the greatest advice that you could possibly get online about changing your life. It's why when people try to change, they end up relapsing and going back to their old habits. It's the reason that people never become who they want to become. You probably know what I'm talking about. I bet in the last 3 months, you probably started to try a new habit. Just try something new. Maybe you wanted to start reading or going on a run. Or maybe you wanted to stop doing something like stop masturbating or stop eating so much junk food. You're probably good and did the 1, 2 days, maybe even 7 days. But then one day you just stopped and maybe you picked it up again for 2 days and then you stopped and then you gave up eventually. There's a reason for that, and most people never even think about it because it's not something that you commonly hear online. It's to change your identity, the underlying beliefs you have about yourself. An example is if I don't think I'm a runner, then I'm not going to be a runner. If I identify as someone who doesn't like to read, then I won't like to read. Growing up my whole schooling career, from birth to senior year, I hated reading. I would do anything to get out of having to read a book, take any shortcut I could get. And this was because I identified as someone who hated reading. How could I ever become a reader if every time I pick up a book, I just take a deep breath and sigh? You're not going to pick up a habit that you don't enjoy, and especially a habit that you tell yourself you don't enjoy. This is why the fat person never wants to eat a salad, because they just identify as a fat person and they think that they're the type of person who just eats what they want to eat when they want to eat it. And they're right for that. And that's what I want to get into today. That's why identity is the most powerful thing you could do. The capabilities of your brain are beyond belief, and I'll share 2 studies that were done today. Whatever you say about yourself, whatever you tell yourself, whatever you believe about yourself, you're absolutely right no matter what it is. If you're a fat guy and you think you're an athlete, guess what? You're going to start doing what an athlete does, and for that you're going to lose weight, feel better, and you might even become like a pro athlete. If you're illiterate and you identify as a reader, you're going to keep picking up books, you're going to keep reading hours and hours. Eventually you'll be more self-informed and educated than anyone around you. You are what you say you are. But most people don't use this to their advantage. In fact, they use it to their disadvantage. I know a friend of my life, and every time I try to motivate him to do something, he just says, "Oh, I'm too lazy." And that's what a majority of the people do. They just say, "Oh, I'm not a reader. I'm not a runner. I'm not an athlete. I'm too lazy. I don't have the time." Whatever you say about yourself is true. You're not a runner. You don't have the time. You are lazy. And the only way you can change that is to stop identifying in that way. You've probably seen the cliche post on Instagram to believe in yourself, and that's what they're getting at. I made a whole video about depression, and this is the main point that I drill down on. Is that you have to change the beliefs about yourself. You have to believe that depression is not real, because then depression is out of the picture, and how could you be depressed if it doesn't exist? You're probably thinking that's impossible, but let me share 2 studies with you. There were 2 people given 2 milkshakes each. One milkshake was unhealthy, high calories, high fat, and the other was a healthy, like protein, low calorie diet one. Now one person was told that each shake was each shake. They were different. And they were given each shake, and the obvious thing happened. When they drank the healthy one, their body reacted positively, like forming more muscle fibers, losing more weight. And when they drank the unhealthy fat-filled one, their serotonin levels increased, and more fat was stored in the body, causing some increase in fat. So that was pretty obvious. You probably expected that. But the second person was given the same milkshakes, except this time they were told that they were both just healthy milkshakes. The person drank the healthy one, and as expected, same results. More muscle fiber, lower fat ratio on their body, everything was expected. But when they drank the fat-filled one, believing that was the healthy one, something unexpected happened. The same result happened from when they actually drank the healthy one, even though it was full of fat and it was supposed to raise their serotonin levels. They had all the same results. Lower calories. It seemed to be higher protein because more muscle fibers were formed. It had all the same results. And this was just because they believed that it was the same. They believed that it was healthy. And because their body literally formed different fibers. It was the same input, but something different came out because they believed it would. Your body can literally change matter based on your beliefs. Let me continue. 2 hotel ladies. You know, the housekeepers, they push around the car all day to clean the rooms, they make the beds, those ladies. That's a pretty body heavy job, and you probably lose a lot of calories doing that. So 2 of them were studied, just like in the last one. They took the first girl and they tracked her heart rate, the amount of calories burned, and the activity. And they did the same with the second girl. And since it was the same job, it was roughly the same. But here's the change in the study. The second week, they tracked one of the housekeepers, and it was the same results because nothing changed. But the other girl, all they did was they told her, like, you're probably burning around 2,000 calories. And as the second week passed, just because she knew that she was burning calories, her body actually burned more calories doing the same job. Just because she knew, just because she believed that she was burning calories, her body reacted differently and she burned more calories. It is the power of your belief and identity about yourself, about what you're doing. The next time you see those cliche posts on Instagram to believe in yourself and all these motivational quotes, you have to realize they're absolutely right. But it's just so saturated that we discard them when we see them. Like, oh, that's stupid. Oh, just what everyone says, but it's actually true. It's the most life-changing thing that you can actually do, is to change your identity. But genuinely believing in yourself is something that takes a lot of time and effort. You have to write down the new thoughts that you want to have, the new identity you want to have, and you have to repeat it to yourself hundreds and hundreds of times a day. You can start with 5 times a day, you can start with 10 times a day, you can write it on your wall. Do anything to get it back in your head. The more and more you tell yourself these things, they'll eventually become reality, because you start to believe them, because you hear and think them so often, so they have to be true. And the universe will start to form around your identity. This is why you see a lot of successful people lose everything and then regain it. It's because their identity didn't change. They knew that they could have it, and so they got it. Even though they lost it all and they had nothing, the universe formed around them and they regained everything that they once had. That is the best advice you're going to hear on the internet about changing your life, about trying to build a habit that you've been trying to build but kept relapsing. So if you got value out of this, subscribe, drop a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.